2:14 p.m. airspace over the Persian Gulf. Under a brutal blazing sun, a lone CH-53E Super Stallion helicopter cuts through the heat. On board 8 United States Marines. Their cargo, a locked case filled with highly classified intelligence, pulled from a covert operation deep inside Iraq. Their destination, the amphibious assault ship USS Bataan. It was supposed to be a standard extraction, but this was no routine flight. Then suddenly Iranian F-4 fighter jets were on them. 6 Phantoms swarming the heavy transport helicopter. They were forcing it, pushing it toward hostile airspace. Tehran's orders were clear: force the Americans to land in Iran, capture the Marines, seize the classified intel. It was a propaganda victory waiting to happen. Iran saw easy prey. 1 unarmed transport helicopter. 8 Marines, no fighter escort. No backup in sight, but the Iranians had made 3 fatal mistakes. First, the Super Stallion had an encrypted distress beacon. It activated the second the Iranian fighters achieved a weapons lock. Second, the USS Bataan was just 40 miles over the horizon, with 16 AH-1Z Viper attack helicopters on deck, fueled, armed, and ready to fly. And third, the moment Iran tried to force that American helicopter from the sky, United States Central Command authorized something that had never been done before: a simultaneous overwhelming strike on every single Iranian military base within 200 kilometers of the incident. 11 bases, 19 minutes, total annihilation. This is that story. The time, 2:14 p.m. The CH-53E Super Stallion was 70 kilometers from the safety of the fleet, cruising at 200 knots. 8 Marines secured inside, along with 1 locked steel case. It contained mission-critical intelligence, a complete blueprint of Iran's weapon smuggling networks. Then a piercing scream from the cockpit, the radar warning receiver. 6 Iranian F-4 Phantom jets. They were Cold War relics, but they were still deadly, approaching from multiple angles, high and low. They were building a watch in the sky. For Captain Mike Rodriguez, the pilot, the assessment was instant and grim. We're being intercepted, Iranian Air Force. I count 6 fighters. They're forcing us toward their airspace. A voice crackled over the radio, the lead Iranian pilot, his English broken, but his message clear. American helicopter, you have entered Iranian territory. You will follow us to Bandar Abbas airfield. Land immediately or we will shoot you down. Captain Rodriguez knew exactly what this was: a forced landing, an attempt at capture. The intelligence on his aircraft was worth billions. For the Iranians, the 8 Marines aboard were propaganda gold. His response was cold. Negative. This is a United States military aircraft in international airspace. We are not complying. Break off immediately. The Iranian pilot's voice crackled back. You have no choice. The odds were impossible. 6 fighters against 1 helicopter. Land now or you will die. But Rodriguez had already made his move. He slammed the encrypted distress beacon, a single red button on his console. The signal, automatic and instantaneous, shot to the USS Bataan. The message was clear: Guardian in distress, Iranian intercept. On board 8 U.S. Marines and classified cargo. A forced landing was imminent. At 2:15 p.m. aboard the USS Bataan, all hell broke loose. Alarm klaxons screamed. Marine Colonel James Reeves, commander of the amphibious Ready Group, saw the alert. He read it once, then twice. The decision was immediate. Launch all Vipers. Get our combat air patrol in the sky. Find that helicopter. Engage any Iranian forces attempting a capture. I want 16 gunships airborne in 90 seconds. You are authorized to use all necessary force. Then at 2:16 p.m. the sky erupted. 16 AH-1Z Viper attack helicopters lifted from the Bataan's deck. Each carried a 2-man crew Hellfire missiles, Hydra rockets, and 20mm cannons. Full combat loadout. But that was not all. Simultaneously at 2:15 p.m., a duplicate distress signal hit U.S. Central Command. Their 4-star General Marcus Chen, the CENTCOM commander, had been waiting for just this kind of Iranian provocation. His authorization from the president was crystal clear. If Iran attempts to capture U.S. forces or seize classified American material, the response must be overwhelming strikes on key Iranian military infrastructure. General Chen gave the order: execute Guardian strike. The targets all Iranian air and naval bases in the region, all facilities within 200 kilometers of the intercept point. The bombers were weapons-free. The carrier strike group was authorized. The order destroyed their ability to threaten our aircraft. At 2:17 p.m., while Iranian F-4s were still forcing the American helicopter toward Iran, a flight of 6 B-52 Stratofortress bombers was already on stations circling over international waters. They had just received their targeting data, 11 Iranian military bases. Coordinates locked, weapons armed. The time 2:18 p.m., the helicopter was just 30 kilometers from the Iranian coast. The enemy jets closed in, tightening the net. They were preparing to force a landing. Inside, Captain Rodriguez radioed his crew. "Marines, we may have to set down. If we do, establish a defensive perimeter immediately. Protect that case at all costs. Help is coming." The 8 Marines checked their weapons. M4 carbines, ammunition ready. They were ready to fight, but then at 2:19 p.m., a mere 3 minutes after the distress signal went out, the cavalry arrived. 16 AH-1Z. Vipers thundered over the horizon, flying in a lethal combat spread. Their systems immediately painted the Iranian F-4s. An American Marine pilot's voice cut across the channel. "Iranian aircraft, this is United States Marine Corps. Disengage from our helicopter immediately. You are being targeted by 16 attack helicopters. Break off now or you will be engaged." For 5 seconds, silence. Then the Iranian fighters broke formation. Banking hard, they retreated toward the Iranian coast. They had seen the Vipers in action before. They knew what that kind of firepower could do. At 2:20 p.m., the CH-53E was safe encircled by 16 Marine gunships. They were heading back to the USS Baton. But the incident had already triggered a response that could not be stopped. 2:21 p.m. The 6 B-52 bombers opened their cavernous bomb bays, each one armed with 50 AGM-86 cruise missiles. 300 total. A target list illuminated the pilots' displays. First up, Bandar Abbas Air Base. The targets were designated. 15 missiles assigned to Bushehr Air Base, 20 missiles aimed at the Chabahar Naval Base, and 18 more for the Jask Naval Facility. The remaining weapons were distributed among 7 smaller bases. At 2:22 p.m., the order was given. 300 cruise missiles launched. They dropped away from the wings of B-52 bombers, their engines igniting for autonomous flight. GPS, guided terrain hugging. Just 19 minutes to target. 1 minute later, at 2:23 p.m., the USS Ronald Reagan responded. From 100 miles away, she launched 24 F-18 Super Hornets. Each one was armed with precision-guided bombs. Their mission to neutralize Iranian radar installations and silence the air defense systems protecting the primary targets. At 2:28 p.m., the invisible attack began. American electronic warfare aircraft went to work. They began jamming Iranian air defense radar systems across the country. In an instant, the defenders were made blind to the incoming storm. Iranian commanders stared at their screens, but they saw nothing. The displays were empty. There were no warnings. A fatal mistake. At 2:33 p.m., time was running out. With only 11 minutes before the first missiles would arrive, the Iranian Air Force finally detected something. Faint radar returns, then more. An overwhelming number of contacts inbound and fast. Panic ripped through Iranian command centers. They scrambled their fighters. They activated their defenses, but it was far too late. At 2:41 p.m., the wave arrived. 300 cruise missiles screamed across the Iranian coastline. The swarm broke apart. Each missile, now a lone hunter, navigated toward its specific target. At 2:41 and 15 seconds p.m., the first blow landed. Bandar Abbas Air Base, Iran's largest military airfield in the south, simply erupted. 15 cruise missiles struck the base simultaneously. Runways were instantly cratered. Hangars exploded into shards of metal. Fuel depots ignited, creating massive churning fireballs. The control tower collapsed into dust. All maintenance facilities were utterly destroyed. On the ground, our 18 F-4 Phantom fighters were annihilated where they sat. They never got airborne. They never stood a chance. At 2:41 and 30 seconds, PM Bushehr Air Base was hit by 12 missiles. The result was the same. Total devastation. Runways gone. Aircraft were left burning on the tarmac. Command buildings were completely flattened. Then at 2:41 and 45 seconds p.m., Chabahar Naval Base, Iran's most strategic port, was wiped from the map. 20 missiles slammed into the harbor, obliterating the piers in the ship's dock there. Patrol boats were sunk. Warehouses exploded. Their naval headquarters simply collapsed. At 2:42 p.m., the JAS naval facilities were struck. 18 missiles obliterated their submarine pens. Fuel storage tanks erupted in massive explosions. Radar towers toppled in under 90 seconds. 11 Iranian military bases ceased to function. Every runway was cratered, every hangar destroyed, every command center was flattened, every fuel depot was left burning. But American forces were not done. At 2:43 p.m., 24 F-18 arrived over the Iranian bases. They were dropping GBU-31, JDAM precision bombs on anything still standing. The Iranian air defense systems that survived were destroyed by laser-guided munitions. Backup command bunkers were penetrated and collapsed. Hardened aircraft shelters were demolished. Then at 2:44 p.m., 4 American submarines launched 48 additional Tomahawk missiles, fired from beneath the waves. They targeted Iranian radar stations along the coastline. Every early warning installation was eliminated. By 2:48 p.m., 19 minutes after the first B-52 had launched, 11 Iranian military bases were smoking ruins. 0 aircraft could take off. 0 ships could launch. 0 radar systems functioned. Iran's entire military infrastructure along the Persian Gulf was functionally destroyed. In 19 minutes, American losses 0. Not one aircraft damaged, not one missile was intercepted. The CH-53 Echo helicopter that started it all landed safely on the USS Bataan. At 2:33 p.m., 8 Marines were safe, and the classified intel was secure. Iran had tried to capture 8 Marines. They tried to steal intelligence. It was a fatal mistake. Instead, they lost 11 military bases. 73 of their aircraft were destroyed on the ground. 247 casualties. Their entire regional command structure was eliminated, all in just 19 minutes. And within hours, the next phase would begin. Tehran claimed the damage was minor. Their state media ran old recycled footage. They denied any significant losses, but satellites don't lie. The truth from orbit showed 11 bases burning, runways cratered. Nothing was flying. The Pentagon's message had been delivered. It began when Iran attempted to force down a U.S. military helicopter. Their objective to capture American service members. It was a fatal miscalculation. We responded. Our mission: eliminate every single Iranian military facility that could threaten our aircraft in the region. The strategic impact was staggering. In just 19 minutes, Iran lost more military capability than in the bloodiest battles of the entire Iran-Iraq War. Every air base that could launch a fighter jet against American forces, gone. They made a fatal mistake. Every naval facility that could send speedboats to harass our ships, utterly destroyed. Every radar station that could track our movements was eliminated, but the psychological impact was even greater. Iran made a gamble to capture 8 Marines from a single helicopter. In response, America erased 11 of their bases from the map. 348 cruise missiles and precision bombs. The message was brutal and perfectly clear. You touch one United States Marine, and you will lose your entire military infrastructure in the region. That is not a proportional response. That is total annihilation. Tehran learned a hard lesson that day. You can intercept our aircraft. You can make threats. You can stage provocations. But the moment you try to take our Marines alive, your bases will become craters. Your aircraft will become scrap metal. Your military will become history. And all of it will happen in 19 minutes. The clock started at 2:14 p.m. 6 Iranian fighters converge on 1 Marine helicopter, forcing it down, moving in for the capture. The clock stopped at 2:33 p.m. 19 minutes later, 11 Iranian bases no longer existed. 73 aircraft were eliminated, 247 casualties confirmed. And the 8 Marines safe, their intel secure. Iran wanted to capture 8 Marines to embarrass the United States of America. Instead, they lost 11 bases and learned a permanent lesson. Never intercept Marine helicopters. A warning ignored: never threaten Marine aircraft. An even bigger mistake: trying to capture a Marine. 19 minutes later, their military infrastructure was nothing but ruins. This is the story of Operation Guardian Strike. 19 minutes. Total devastation. A permanent lesson. You never touch the Marine.